Okay, hi, this is Elliot Fishman, and welcome to December 27th, 2017. And this is our last podcast of the podcast, Facebook Live of the year, also our last podcast, if you want to think of it that way. And I hope everyone had a pleasant holiday season, whatever holiday separate and celebrate, and hope those people in the Northeast have kept warm. So just people complain sometimes or say that I never take vacation. So I have this picture in the background. That's not like a fake picture. That's what people usually think. See the palm trees, and if you listen carefully, you hear some chickens screaming. I'm actually at the Cayman Islands with my family. So I didn't shave or anything. And just to show you, I'm careful with the sun. I have my official CTisus hat, which I will take off. And since all of you have now seen that there is an outside, I'll see if we can do this a little bit easier. So this doesn't work very well, does it? Let me try a little bit light. Okay, there I am. So it's a pleasure to welcome everybody. And this is our last spiel for the year. And so I thought I would just share with you perhaps a little bit about CTisus. That was the topic, what we did this past year and what our team has done and what we're looking at and what we're questioning for next year. So the things that we've done, you think about CTisus, the website.com. So we've added, lectures a week, a quiz a month. We've added all the pearls, well over 1,000 pearls, over 120 new cases with explanations. We've added thousands of teaching files and additional material. We expanded our Facebook presence. Now we have 300,000 followers on Facebook, which is more than we actually have on CTisus. All around the world, you noticed an earlier post today that we put up a video, and that video was big in Ho Chi Minh City within 2 hours. And which again tells you the power of the internet, the power of Facebook, and the ability of education being worldwide. And so when we look at things like Facebook, greater than 80% of our users are indeed outside the United States. So it's really a very interesting way in thinking about things. We've also expanded our Instagram, or actually, in fact, started Instagram. We now have 6,000 plus followers, and those numbers keep going up. And our Instagram is typical Instagram. We have videos, we have pictures, but it's a cool way of looking at information, and people do like Instagram, and it's growing quickly. Instagram is actually part of Facebook, as most of you know. And our Facebook presence, again, all of the cinematic stuff we've been doing has been posted there. So we kind of look at things on Facebook, for example, and the rapidity of being able to post things as a combination of something new and something old. We post our newest stuff when we finish it, and we post very traditional stuff as well. So it's cases of the day, it's pearls of the day, it's interesting cases, it's interesting facets of information. So we are trying to do that and continue to try to do that, thinking of all different ways and different topics. And a lot of it is we get emails from people like you, and we look at some of the comments that people make, and it's a good time to make comments, and we'll say hello to Yazin Khan. We're fine. Hope he's fine as well. And so for us, it's really trying to figure out what people want to know, what people need to know. And again, we have a lot of experience because we are in practice. We're at a busy academic institution. But also it's hard for us to know everything everybody wants. And we do have limited time and limited bandwidth, so we try to make certain that we are producing the information that people want to see. So it's good to tell us what exactly you're looking for. We are looking, for example, I think one of the things you'll see a lot of on CTisus, the website this year, will be a lot of content. We published over 1,300 articles. We're going to try updating a lot of our contents. If you want to read information about different subjects, you're going to see a lot of it there. We're putting a lot of effort into deep learning. The Felix project is on pancreatic cancer. We're expanding that project. We're doing great. The team in computer science, the team in radiology, pathology, everyone is doing just terrific. So I think you're going to see a lot of incredible stuff coming out. And I think We mentioned probably in the last podcast that one of the things that was amazing in RSNA 2017 was how AI became the center of the world. And if you speak to people like Kimberly Powell, who leads AI healthcare for NVIDIA, they will tell you that the challenge now is to figure out what they will show in RSNA 2018. What is it that we need to see a year from now? Do we need to know how much progress do we expect? How much progress should we expect? It's something that we are focusing on and we're challenged with, but it's something that seems to have amazing opportunity. And again, for those of you who worry about radiologists being out of business, I think it's not a real big worry. I think what you'll have is empowered radiologists doing better than ever. So there will be certain input on certain parts of radiology. There's no doubt, I think you'll probably need less people. I've mentioned this before in mammography, and maybe you'll need less people doing bone age. And at some point you'll need less people doing plain films, but that's all right. Those typically are in areas that are of massive interest. In the areas like CT and MR and nuclear medicine, you'll see the ways of doing the studies, increasing our accuracy, increasing our power to be strong consultants to the referring clinician will increase. So I don't think you're going to see that as being an issue. And then for our friends in interventional, obviously, I don't think AI is going to be doing interventional anytime soon. But, robotic surgery has changed how surgery is performed. And you can think about robotics in angiography. Can you do better at puncturing, localizing? Can you do better in embolizing? I mean, perhaps we don't think so now, but surely it's what's going to come in the future. I think that the biggest mistake you could probably make today is assuming that AI is not going to change what you do. I think it will change everything we do. And in radiology, I have to give a talk in a couple of weeks at the LA Radiological Society about Radiology 2025. So I'm trying to think of what things will change. And I think things as simple as how patients are registered at the front desk, how technologists do studies, how you do protocols, how you optimize radiation dose, how do you select studies, how the information is delivered to the clinician. I think every piece and parcel of what we do will change. Again, I'm very optimistic that the change will be to make our role even stronger, but it is going to take a little bit of work, and it's going to take a lot of ups and downs. I think it's not going to be a straight path. It's not going to be like a straight line up. It's not going to follow Moore's law, perhaps, but I think, in the sense of Moore's law, it will pick up steam and evolve. I see that someone comments radiology rules on our comments, and CT Lab says hi. Hi, Rachel and guys. I just think you need to really be thinking. So at CTisus, we're trying to figure out how is it that we can maybe help you all appreciate AI a little bit better. One of the things of AI that we've been looking at ways of trying to present it in a more simple fashion. At times it seems to be very esoteric or very formula-driven and not very logical, perhaps. Can you explain AI in a more simple term? Not so easy, but we're looking at that. I think it will be a way of doing that. I think that we need to figure out ways of how can we explain concepts. And perhaps if you can explain concepts that people will feel more comfortable and that people will get more involved. So I think that becomes very important to us. How do we at CTisus basically try to lead the pathways? We've never been interested, nor do we plan on being interested in being people who follow what other people are doing. That's just not our DNA. Our DNA is to be ahead. Our DNA is not to listen when people say you can't do that or that's not going to work. As all of you know who follow CTisus, and whether it's CTisus, people said was not going to work. People said Facebook was not going to work. People said Instagram was not going to work. People said vodcasts were not going to work. People said Facebook Live was not going to work. Every time we published something on one of these things, it was rejected, eventually accepted, and eventually copied. I happen to note, if many of you have seen now, everybody is doing Facebook Live or starting to do Facebook Live. but everyone seems to make it into more of a problem, of the great difficulty of it all. And since I'm sitting in the Cayman Islands in my hotel room, Marriott, 7 Mile Beach, just joking. There's a really nice Ritz-Carlton up the road, but out of our price range. But I think that the fact that we're sitting here, and I do have that light shadow because I wanted to have the shadow. I could film in a different part of the room, there'd be no shadow. But I wanted to make it clear that even when you're away, you're not away. I have my MacBook Pro, and Rachel and I figured out that if you use Chrome and not Safari, you can do it on a laptop. You can do it from anywhere. So we are looking at, just trying to figure out what is it people want, what is it that will work better. Here's a comment from Chris. A radiogenomics lecture might be a good idea. Yeah, I think I don't disagree with that. We're just trying to figure out, how is it that you can present it without it being too complicated. I agree. When I read a lot of the articles, and I do this now 5 to 10 hours a week, so I am putting a reasonable effort into the deep learning thing. And I do find myself also, as you read the articles, even when I would consider the simple articles, understanding it for the first few paragraphs, and then when it starts this deep dive into a lot of the explanations, it quickly becomes a little bit overwhelming. I was joking with everyone in the lab that we need to come up with a book which will be Deep Learning for Dummies, or Artificial Intelligence for Dummies. Those yellow books? That's what you really need. I think there's been a few articles published that are better than most. A couple I've seen in Radiographics, a couple in AJR perhaps, in different journals, but I still would agree that they are somewhat difficult to really get your hand around. And then also, I think a lot of people want to know, how do you get started in deep learning? It's not a trivial process. Remember, there's very little data available. You got to create data. One of the things that we're putting a lot of effort in, both manpower, time, and money, is creating our data set. So for pancreatic cancer, we did 1166 normal studies. Now we've done a little more than 400 or so abnormal studies, pancreatic adenocarcinomas. We got to do thousands of those. Then we got to do thousands of other tumors, from CIS to serous adenoma to SPEN to MCNs. If you really want to do incredible work, you need to have incredible data. Incredible data takes time. Time is money. Time is effort. So it's hard to get started. There are some data sets in the public domain. There's a data set on pancreatic cancer or pancreatic cysts, rather, from the NIH. NIH just released a lot of chest x-rays. That may be somewhat valuable. I think Stanford has released some stuff. So there is some information, some data we can get started. And of course, everyone also has their own data. So it's really just a matter of how much effort you're going to put in. So I think it pays to get started. There was, at the RSNA through NVIDIA, there was a course that was run 4 times a day on some of the basics of deep learning. And I'm sure they're going to have that again next year. And I'm sure there's meetings in between. We will be covering some of that stuff at our lectures, at our courses. So remember, you got to come to our meeting in February 16 to 19 in Orlando, May 5 to 8 in Memphis. And we will cover some of the stuff on deep learning. We'll cover a lot of the stuff on visualization, which is a big part. It will become a big part of deep learning. Whether it's cinematic rendering, we'll actually have hands-on workstations. So I can actually, this is my plug for those meetings, those Hopkins courses. But if you want to really learn a lot of that stuff, this is a good place to be. And I think we will, Karen Horton will be giving a talk on deep learning. So we are trying to get people to understand a little bit of the deep learning, starting from the very basics, and then perhaps build it up so that people will feel very comfortable. So I think it's a great suggestion, and we are paying attention to that space. So I know this is the last week of the year. Next week, when we give our talk, will be January 3rd. So I think 2018 proves to be exciting. We will be expanding everything we do. We will be coming up with new things. I think deep learning will be one of them. I'm going to try to interview people who are involved in deep learning. We have some of them coming to Hopkins to speak to us. And perhaps if it works out on those Wednesdays, or perhaps I'll just have to change Facebook Lives Day. I'll do some interviews with people who really know what you need to know about what you need to know. Okay? So with that, let me, it's 15 minutes are up. If anyone has any questions, this is your last chance. I know people tend to ask questions after we sign off, and that's okay. But, and I know this week's very busy. Many places are running half staff, so many of you will not be looking at this until later in the day. So with that, I'd like to, on behalf of everybody in our lab, everyone on the CTisus team, wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday season, whatever religion you are, whatever you worship, and wish everybody a happy and healthy and prosperous and successful 2018, which is only days away. And we hope that we've been a big part of 2017 of your educational experience and your entertainment. And we look forward to doing bigger and better things in 2018. So let me do one last thing. And to quote George Harrison, here comes the sun. Have a great day and see you next year. Bye.